So in this lesson, we're going to look at some ways to start improvising over an alternating thumb in the key of C. So just being able to take simple melodies and put them over that alternating thumb. I talked in another video, I think it's called Bluesier Travis Picking, about the thumb and got into the details of like just sort of palm muting and getting a good groove with the thumb. So if that's not a familiar idea to you, you might want to go check that out, and then that'll be a good foundation for these ideas we're going to talk about right now. So this is assuming that you're comfortable doing this alternating thumb on a C chord, going between the 5th string, the 4th string, the 6th string, and the 4th string, and the ring fingers rocking back and forth in the left hand, doing a little palm muting, and that's pretty much the groove. So on top of that, we're going to start with the C major pentatonic scale. Now you might be used to playing it here, and we're going to use all the same notes, but we're going to play them in open position. And we're going to look at them a little differently. Instead of thinking of it as like a 2-octave scale from the bottom to the top, I'm going to start with the root and just find the notes we need around the root. And so this is the root, C, and if we go up, there's the 2nd, there's the 3rd, and there's the 5th, the root, 2, 3, and 5 of C. And that's the 1st fret on the 2nd string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, open high string, 3rd fret on the high string. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 5. And then if we go down to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, there's the 6th of the scale. And if we go down to the open 3rd string, there's the 5th. So we have all the notes of the C major pentatonic scale all kind of focused around the root. And so to practice getting these notes, first thing to do would be to alternate the thumb and just play notes from the scale on the downbeat. Now what happens on these notes, everything's fine and you can get the bass where you want it, even if you double up and you're playing every other bass note with the melody. But when you get down to playing the 6th in the melody, you're moving the middle finger over to play the melody, and suddenly you're not holding down this note that you need for the C chord, because your middle finger's over here doing something else. That actually turns out to be okay. Partly because once you're using this in context and not just playing it as an exercise, things are going by quickly and you won't really notice it. But it's also okay because when you play this in the bass instead of this, what you end up doing is implying the sound of a G chord. C, the beginning of a G chord, G chord, C. So it's like you're going this, you're going like that. So that's okay as like a chord substitution, basically. If you're in C and you temporarily play a G chord and go back to C, it sounds good. So when you're playing these kind of melodies, it doesndoesn't really matter that you're not holding down this note, because what you end up doing is making another sound that's equally good and equally valid. So once you can play the scale like that, then you can try to put it on every beat. And so that in of itself is sort of plenty to get started with the coordination and just knowing where the notes are. If you want to start making it sound more musical, then you can start to do some syncopating. And basically what that means in this case is, right now we're playing everything as a pinch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But if you start to play every other note on the and of the beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. It starts to sound more musical. And you're not even necessarily going to do that all the time. You could, once you start improvising, syncopate one pair of notes and play the next pair of notes straight. And that would be cool. You're just trying to get your hands used to doing these different moves so that you can start to improvise with them. And so once you're doing that, you can start to leave more space. And there are a couple other things that I'm now doing also. One is I'm hammering on and pulling off when I can, you know, like from here to here, or pulling off, hammering on, hammering on. And the other thing is that I'm also sometimes sneaking in my index finger on the offbeat when I don't have anything going on with the melody, just to kind of keep the groove going and not let the pulse feel too empty. Again, it's not something you want to do all the time, but in slow motion, it's like this. So, and I think the first video, there's another video, like the series of 6 fingerstyle blues lessons. There's the first video on that, I talk a bit about the index finger and how it's part of the groove. So those things can all help. And then finally, including the flat third. Because here's the root and the second and the major third. Right here, E flat, that's the flat third. So grabbing the flat third and resolving it up to the major third is another sound you can add in. It makes things sound bluesier and more sort of idiomatic. It's the way people actually play. And this is where it really comes in handy to not stress over holding down an E note on the 4th string, because in order to reach up and grab this note, you can stretch from there to get the C, but it's not fun. So a couple of nice moves, if you're coming from here, say from the high E string, and then going to the bass, you can grab a G in the bass and the flat third on the 2nd string, resolve to the high string, play the open D string, and then grab your C chord. Or if you're going up, so you've got these notes coming up, sliding from the 2nd to the flat third to the 3rd. Got the C bass, now here's G. Slide with your pinky, grab the 4th string, open high string. You can make that stretch from here, or you can just replace it with another finger. It's whatever ends up feeling more comfortable, and I probably do all kinds of weird combinations of fingerings just to grab what I need to from wherever I am coming from at the time. But so those things all combine So that's a way to get started. You get the alternating thumb going, you work out where the major pentatonic notes are, you practice playing them as pinches, you start to play them as syncopations, you incorporate the hammer-ons and pull-offs, and the index finger is part of the groove, and then you throw in a few flat thirds, and you should be on your way. So drop me a line down below if you've got any questions, you've got any comments. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have fun working on this idea, and I'll see you next time.